to start at. This is something that some of the people that are interested in coming into my mentorship program, this is usually one of the first things that they will say to let me know that they're interested. They'll say, Rev, I want to get paid to speak. I want to do public speaking, but I have no idea where to start at. I don't even know what I should be talking about. I'm getting ready to help you figure that out, okay? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to realize that there's a difference between getting paid to speak, and getting booked to speak. And I think a lot of y'all have those two things mixed up. Because getting booked, just because you got booked to speak or invited to speak or somebody invited you to the stage, that doesn't mean that you got paid. There's a difference, okay? The second thing is that you need to realize that getting paid to speak can come in a lot of different ways. It is not just somebody cutting you a check and inviting you to their event and cutting you a check. And I'm getting ready to break down what does that look like in a way where they didn't cut you a check. Somebody giving you sponsorship to help you do your own events, and if you do your own events correct, you can get paid to speak from you speaking at your own events. See, a lot of y'all are waiting for somebody to invite you to the stage instead of getting paid to speak here by you building your own stage, by you building your own audience. That is what I teach in my mentorship program. How to build your own audience, create your own events, and get paid to speak. Pay yourself to speak versus waiting for somebody else to bring you in. So let's talk about what is the difference between these things. Usually when somebody gets booked to speak in a very easy way, it's usually with maybe like a church. A lot of people that are in the church get invited to speak. And it's usually for free. Another way that they might get booked to speak is if it's some type of non-profit organization, okay, and maybe they don't have a budget to pay you, but they're putting on some type of event and they want you to come and speak to their audience. Okay, and another way is maybe if you are part of some type of local chamber of commerce, in your city. Maybe if you've been rubbing enough shoulders, the local chamber of commerce, they might invite you to speak, or they might allow you to speak at their functions and their events for free. Nothing is wrong with this because I'm getting ready to tell you how you can turn something that's free into something that's paid. But I'm just telling you, it's usually some type of organization. And I'm going to look at it because I wrote down a couple of notes here. But another way that you can get booked to speak is simply if a friend asks you, right? A friend or another business partner. Like, for example, when I did the Command Your Throne conference, I invited Gigi and Shaneri to my event to be on the stage with me. Okay? But they're in my inner circle. So that's another thing that y'all gotta realize about people inviting you to the stage to speak. Most of the time, if somebody's putting on an event, most of the time they're going to go into their inner circle because they don't want to put somebody on the stage that they don't really know, that they don't really bang with like that. They're going to put people that they trust and that they know that person is really an expert in what they talk about. So they might bring in a friend, and that still doesn't mean that you're getting paid. So just because you got booked or invited to speak doesn't mean that you got paid to speak. I want to show you how to get paid to speak by building your own stage. Now, going back to what I originally said about how sometimes y'all will come to me and y'all will be like, well, I want to get paid to speak, but I don't know what I should be speaking about. Well, you should be speaking about your own transformation. That is how you get paid to speak. See, when you get paid to speak, it's because you are solving a problem. But before I get to that, let me go over the different places where you get paid to speak. Okay? You can get paid to speak by hosting your own events. By hosting your own events. Hello? Sell tickets to your own events. Right? You can get paid to speak by selling from the stage. selling from the stage. And what I mean by that is, if you did get booked to speak in any of these places, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm sure there's more, when you get up on stage, if you have something to sell, then you sell it to them. You sell it to the audience. If you have some type of, whether it's a physical product or a service that you're offering, at any time you have an audience in front of you, that is your marketplace right there. So even if you didn't get paid over here, you can get paid by you selling from the stage. What does that mean? That means you need to know how to sell. That means you need to have the skill of presentation and selling. That also means that you need to have some type of expertise, because people buy from you when they believe that you can do what? Help them solve a problem. And the only way you can help them solve a problem is if you are some type of expert at something. And the only way that you become an expert at something is if you transform yourself, is if you yourself have gone through it. That's the case majority of the time. Of course, there's maybe some anomalies here and there, but usually you don't become an expert at something until you yourself have gone through it. The root word of expert and experience is the same thing. Expertise comes from hands-on experience. I'm only able to stand up here and talk to y'all about this because I've been doing it for 5 years, right? And most of the time that I got paid to speak, it was at my own events. Yes, here and there, people have put me in and even wrote me a check or sent me a cash app or whatever to come speak at their events. But majority of the time, it's coming from here, right? So, the other way is that you can get paid to speak is if you do get booked by a nonprofit, but that nonprofit just happens to have a budget. Like they literally have a budget for bringing in speakers. Yes, you can get paid to speak like that, but you better have some type of expertise. Let's talk about the difference of you just talking over here versus you talking over here. You getting booked to speak versus you getting paid to speak. I just got finished saying that you just better have some type of expertise, because, hold on, let me erase these. I'm getting ready to show you what the difference usually is. Again, when people come to me and they say, Rev, I want to get paid to speak, but I don't know where to start, I tell them start with your own transformation. Because if you are talking about anything outside of your own transformation, you just want to get up there and probably do what? Motivate people, which is cool. Nothing wrong with that. Some people deem themselves as a motivational speaker. That's fine. What are you going to do? You're going to get up there and you're going to inspire people. You're going to get up there and you're going to just talk. And sometimes people will be like, I just want to tell my story. Guess what? You can turn the camera on right now, just like I'm doing right now, and tell your story. You can do that now. What's stopping you from doing? What is nothing? Nothing is stopping you from going live, from making a reel, from going on YouTube, making videos, and telling your story. That's not what gets you paid to speak. You can tell your story, and you can motivate people, and you can inspire people, right? And there are other speakers that have been in the game forever, like Les Brown, like Lisa Nicole, right? They've been doing this forever, and Lisa Nicole's program is called Motivate the Masses. I believe that's what it's called, Motivate the Masses. Right? So it's all about being a motivational speaker and an inspirational speaker. What I'm saying is that when you know how to sell from the stage, you're doing more than just motivating people and inspiring them. You are an expert in something. Now, maybe you might be an expert in motivation. That's what makes you a great motivational speaker, and you can sell a lot of tickets. But maybe you might be an expert in, let's say, herbs. Right? Let's say you're an expert in herbs and you have case studies where you have helped heal people with, let's say, diabetes. Or you have helped heal people with wound issues. Or you have helped heal people with high blood pressure. You're an expert in that. You have testimonies in that. You have case studies in that. You can stand on the stage and tell story after story after story about people that you have helped. That is what gets you paid. And the only way you probably can tell that story is if you did it yourself somehow. The reason why I brought Shaneri into my event is because she went through a crazy weight loss journey. I know her story, right? She's also a Black Fire Nation alumni. So going back to what I was saying about people pulling you onto their stage, usually they're pulling people that's already in their inner circle. And if not, sometimes you got the third, let's put it down here, the third option is pay to speak. Meaning that they're going to say, oh yeah, you can come on our stage. You ain't got to have no experience in that. You can get up there and talk about whatever you want to. It's $1,000. So, right, you can get booked to speak, paid to speak, or pay somebody else to be on their stage. And there are cases when it may be worth it for you to pay if they have your audience. You just better make sure that they have the audience that you want to target, and you just better be good at selling from the stage. If you're not good at selling from the stage, then you're just going to get up there and motivate and inspire, and you're going to feel happy that you was able to tell your story in front of people. Nothing is wrong with that. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. But I'm saying my program is up here. It's up here, paid to speak, right? And again, if you just coming on here, I'm reminding you that when I say paid to speak, I'm talking about you building your own stage based on your expertise, based on your transformation, based on you being able to say that you went from here to there, and here's the steps that you took. Here's the roadmap that you took. Now you're going to create a roadmap and you're going to give it to somebody else. Most likely your sister, because I'm teaching women how to build a women empowerment business, right? Based on your transformation. So, back to the question, which is, Kamisha, I don't know what I should talk about. You should talk about your transformation. How did you go from this to that? What were the steps in between there? If you can break down the steps in between from this to that, and you have at least, let's say, I teach my students to have at least 5 steps, right? If you have at least 5 steps, then you got 5 pieces of content right there, and really you can break that down even further. You got 5 speaking topics, you got 5 chapters for some kind of book. Like I said, 5 is the minimum, right? But really what you just did, you just built a mind map. When you can break down your transformation, those are your speaking topics. But here's the thing, you have to feel like and know within your gut that you're an expert in that thing and that you really can help somebody else go from this to that. When you don't feel that, you're going to struggle there. That's when that imposter syndrome going to kick in. And we all go through that. I go through that too. But that's also why I include imposter syndrome training in my mentorship program, because I already know when people are claiming to have some type of expertise in something, they're going to start comparing themselves to other people, and then it's going to start getting in the back of their head, and then now they're frozen and they don't do anything. So you need training on specific things that you should be doing to beat your imposter syndrome, if you are dealing with that. Now, what I wanted to offer y'all, I'm going to always offer y'all something. My mentor, one of my mentors, because I have many mentors, tell me that you should never, ever, ever leave the stage without making an offer. That is where you make your money at. That is where you make your money at, by offering to help people. Think about it. When you go to church, or when you used to, if you did, went to church, and you would feel all inspired and motivated, you want to make this change in your life, you and gave your life over to Christ and all that, don't you wish that you had somebody to hold your hand along the way? And some churches do offer that. But don't you wish you had somebody to hold your hand along the way? Because that motivation and that inspiration, that's the energy that's going around the room in that moment in time. A lot of times it don't last. I'll give it a week tops. Right? But usually, if you have somebody that will be like your accountability partner, hold your butt to the fire, make sure you're doing what you said you were going to do. Well, not make sure, because I don't even do that to my students. I'm not making sure you do nothing. You came here because you wanted my help. Here is my help. But anyway, what I'm saying is that you still have a person you can go to when you have questions, when you need help with something, when you feel stuck somewhere. That is the offer that you're making to your audience. After you motivate them, after you inspire them. You don't want to motivate them, inspire them. Okay, bye, y'all. You want to talk about getting paid to speak. You get paid by saying, listen, I know you feel amped up. I know you feel inspired. I know you feel like you're ready to go conquer the world, but I'm willing to bet money that a month from now, you want to forget everything that I just said. Because people only retain, what, maybe 10% of everything that they've heard. So because of that, and I'm not saying this to y'all, I'm saying this is part of how you sell from the stage. So because of that, I'm offering to work with you beyond this. Let's take this off the stage. Let's take this past a Facebook post. Let's actually get on Zoom calls every 2 weeks. That's what I do with my students. Get on a Zoom call every 2 weeks to help them figure out how to get past wherever they are stuck at. Usually it's a mindset issue, but that's a topic for another day. Okay, so getting paid to speak versus getting booked to speak is two different things. I need you to really understand that. If you want to go from people just saying, hey, yeah, come to my event, can you come speak and come speak on my podcast, right? That's great. If you want to go from that to actually getting paid, then number one, narrow down the problem that you can help your audience solve. How do you know what the problem is that you can help your audience solve? Because you solved it yourself. You solved it within yourself. That is how you know that you're an expert in it. And this is why a lot of people struggle when it comes to selling online, because they're not clear on the transformation that they even went through. And again, I made a whole post saying that. This is the reason why I used to let anybody in my mentorship program that said that they want to help with getting paid to speak, or they want to help building a digital course, or doing any type of online digital marketing and selling. I no longer do that, because I learned that if you are not clear on your own transformation, you are going to be stuck before we even start. You're going to be stuck before we even start. So I need you to be, if you are thinking about coming into my mentorship, you need to be clear on how you transform yourself. This is why I love the review or the testimonial that Nazaya gave. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. Because when she came in, she was a little bit unclear about how she had transformed herself. But as I'm asking her questions, and then we finally had an aha moment. And that is where she was like, oh, and I told her how to break down her transformation into parts, and she took it and ran with it, and came back the next day and gave me the whole breakdown. And then I helped her break it down even more. My point is that she came in, she kind of knew what she wanted to do. She wasn't completely oblivious to it. It's something that I keep saying that, I wanted to tell, this is the last thing that I'm going to get off. I wanted to tell y'all, give y'all the example of how I got paid to speak, but no, it didn't come from somebody cutting me a check. It came from me getting sponsorship for my events. I'm going to give you an example of one particular event that I did. And I sold at that event and beyond. So, let me give you an example. Now we're talking about sponsorship. How setting the stage for getting sponsorship can help you get paid to speak on the back end. So what does an example of sponsorship looks like? And how does it turn into you getting paid to speak? Well, I don't know, this might have been 2021. Okay, I'm doing self-realization of a goddess. I'm traveling and everything. And then Sharon, and I don't know if Sharon and Aaliyah are on here, but shout out to y'all. You already know I love y'all. Thank you very much for holding me down. Sharon and Aaliyah, they together, because they're both in Las Vegas, they together covered what? My flight. I think Sharon paid for my flight by herself, but covered my flight. Sharon definitely paid for my transportation to and from the hotel. I believe they both covered the hotel for me. I believe they went half and covered the hotel for me. I'm sorry, I can't remember who did what, but I just know that they kind of did it together. They both covered the hotel, and then Sharon also had a facility. She already has her own facility, and she let me use it for that day to host the Self-Realization of a Goddess event. Now, that's not it. They also, together, they also sold tickets to the event. They also sold tickets. I didn't have to do anything. I almost didn't have to do anything besides show up. They covered everything. That's just one example, okay? I have multiple examples of that. So when I'm telling y'all about this is how you can get sponsors, I wanted to actually show y'all the breakdown of it. And I think I'm gonna make this a whole separate video by itself, because this is another topic. But they covered everything, right? Even my food, okay? Well, I think some of the food. But regardless, they cover, that's 90% of having an event, right? I'm selling my own tickets, of course. They're also selling tickets. All that money is going right in my pocket, right? That's how I'm getting paid to speak. And then when I get there and I do this 4-hour presentation on Self-Realization of a Goddess, I'm going to sell from the stage. I'm selling while I have an audience in front of me. I believe in that class, that was one of my biggest classes, so it probably was about 30 people. It don't take a lot. Some of y'all are thinking that you got to be in front of 100 people. No. Okay? So, if I get in front of 30 people, it might even be 35 people, somewhere around that. If I get in front of these people and I'm able to sell the entire Self-Realization of a Goddess course, because the way that I'm teaching it, they only get in a small part of it. So when I get up here, I'm telling them, hey, if this really helped you, imagine if you took the entire 13-week-long course, you also become Black Fire Nation alumni, you also get invited to the retreat, you get a crown, you get a certificate, you become in my inner circle. And now, I'm saying now, when you're in my inner circle, you can potentially be invited to speak at my events. And alumni always come to my stuff for free. My classes, they come to my classes for free. But what I'm saying is, I'm selling that. I'm selling that. I'm selling my Akashic Record readings. I'm selling my spiritual counseling. I'm selling my private Patreon. This is how when I gave y'all didn't see that video. When I gave the breakdown of, here's how you can make $5,000 a month being paid to speak. I'm not talking about somebody cutting you a check. I'm talking about you creating it out of here. Okay? But they started with me getting sponsorship and me getting covered for all of that. And you might be wondering, what did they get in return? They got to help people in their city. That's what they got. They wasn't looking for getting anything back from me. They wanted to help people in their city. You have to find the people that want to help people in their city. But the only way they're going to do that is if you show value, and if you show that you're an expert in something, and if you show that you can help transform lives. And on that note, I'm getting off. Have a great Saturday. Peace.